Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quiz Time. I'm Ellen, your host, and today we have 100 questions for the baby boomers. So let's begin with question number one. Don't forget to tell us how you did at the end. Which country became the first to allow women to serve on submarines? Sweden, Norway, or Israel? Israel. Which fashion designer introduced the sack dress, which radically changed the silhouette of women's fashion? Pierre Cardin, Balenciaga, or Givenchy? Balenciaga. What unusual event occurred during the Tour de France in 1959, impacting several cyclists? Hailstorm, a dog caused a massive crash, or a swarm of bees attacked cyclists? A hailstorm halted the race. True or false? Mini Cooper launched in 1959 and became a cultural icon and marked the beginning of a new era in automotive design. This is true. Which island declared independence from Britain, becoming the world's first Black republic? Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, or Nigeria? Nigeria. The 1960 Olympic Games in Rome featured the first use of which groundbreaking technology? Instant replay, electronic timing, or live satellite broadcasting? Live satellite broadcasting. Which country unexpectedly boycotted the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome due to a dispute over visas? China, South Africa, or Cuba? China. Which art museum officially opened its doors in New York featuring a unique spiral design? The Whitney Museum, Guggenheim Museum, or the Museum of Modern Art? Guggenheim Museum. Which famous American jazz musician visited Africa in 1959 as a cultural ambassador? Duke Ellington, John Coltrane, or Miles Davis? Duke Ellington. What significant technological event took place in 1961, revolutionizing long-distance communication? No multiple choice here. The launch of the first communication satellite. In 1961, what was the world's largest floating structure built to transport oil? What was it called? The Knock Nevis. Which UNESCO World Heritage Site was known for its unique architectural style? The St. Lawrence Seaway, CN Tower, or Habitat 67? St. Lawrence Seaway. What rare astronomical event was observed worldwide that lasted longer than usual? Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, or a meteor shower? A lunar eclipse. The 1958 Brussels World's Fair was known for introducing which futuristic structure? The Space Needle, the Atomium, or the Eiffel Tower replica? The Atomium. Which jazz album became the first to sell over 1 million copies, setting a new standard in music? Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, Time Out by Dave Brubeck, or Giant Steps by John Coltrane? Time Out by Dave Brubeck. Who was the first person to receive a patent for the laser in 1960? Gordon Gould, Charles Townes, or Theodore Myman? Theodore Myman. Which European country launched the first atomic-powered submarine outside the US? France, the United Kingdom, or the Soviet Union? The Soviet Union. Which book won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, known for its stark portrayal of the South? To Kill a Mockingbird, A Death in the Family, or Advise and Consent? A Death in the Family. What landmark bridge opened in 1961, linking San Francisco to nearby Marin County? Richmond San Rafael Bridge. Which country launched the first intercontinental ballistic missile? The United States, the Soviet Union, or China? The Soviet Union. We are at question 21. What was the first successful American weather satellite called? Tiros 1, Nimbus 1, or Vanguard 2? Tiros 1. What newly independent African country gained its independence from France in 1960, becoming a major oil exporter? Gabon. Which country was the first to successfully send an animal into orbit and return it safely to Earth? The United States, France, or the Soviet Union? France. What major construction project was completed in 1961 connecting France and Spain by road for the first time through the Pyrenees? The Mont Blanc Tunnel, Pyrenees Bridge, or Somport Tunnel? Somport Tunnel. Which city hosted the first Paralympic Games? Rome, Tokyo, or Sydney? Rome. What luxury fashion house introduced the iconic Jackie Kennedy handbag? Gucci. Which country's government was overthrown by a CIA-backed coup? Chile, Guatemala, or the Dominican Republic? The Dominican Republic. Which Eastern European city was the site of the first ever World Youth Festival? Warsaw, Budapest, or Vienna? Warsaw. Which African leader became the first president of Ghana when it became a republic? Nelson Mandela, Kwame Nkrumah, or Jomo Kenyatta? Kwame Nkrumah. What computer manufacturer released the first commercially successful mini computer? Digital Equipment Corporation. Which American writer received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1958 but was controversially unable to attend the ceremony? John Steinbeck, Ernest Hemingway, or Boris Pasternak? Boris Pasternak. What was the first country to recognize the newly formed state of Kuwait in 1961? Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, or the United States? Saudi Arabia. Which company released the first electric toothbrush? Braun, Philips, or Oral-B? Braun. Which significant environmental book was published in 1960, forewarning about the dangers of pesticides? A Sand County Almanac, The Quiet Crisis, or Silent Spring? The Quiet Crisis. Which Italian artist famously declared, "Art is a lie that makes us realize the truth"? Pablo Picasso, Giorgio de Chirico, or Lucio Fontana? Lucio Fontana. Who became the first Secretary General of the Organization of African Unity? Diallo Telly. Which notable philosopher published The Myth of Sisyphus? Albert Camus, Simone de Beauvoir, or Jean-Paul Sartre? Albert Camus. In 1961, who became the first female to win the Nobel Peace Prize since World War II? Bertha von Suttner, Emily Green Balch, or Dagmar Lang? Dagmar Lang. Which popular diet fad began in 1958 promoting the idea of weight loss through liquid meals? Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, or Metrical? Metrical. And we are at question 40. Which European city became the first to host an international film festival focused entirely on documentaries? Amsterdam, Vienna, or Paris? Amsterdam. Who became the first woman to set foot on Antarctica in 1961? Anne Bancroft, Caroline Nicholson, or Jackie Roan? Jackie Roan. Who became the youngest winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1960, recognized for their efforts to promote racial equality? Albert Luthuli. Which German city hosted the 1959 World Chess Championship? Munich, Bonn, or Leipzig? Leipzig. What country completed the construction of the Kariba Dam, one of the largest man-made lakes in the world? Zambia. Which major environmental event struck Morocco in 1960? An earthquake, flooding, or a volcanic eruption? An earthquake. Which Soviet leader visited the United States in 1959, marking a significant moment in Cold War diplomacy? Nikita Khrushchev. In 1960, which African nation was the site of a violent colonial revolt? Angola, Sudan, or Algeria? Algeria. What notable world record was set by Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh in 1960? The longest spacewalk, the deepest ocean dive, or the fastest plane flight? The deepest ocean dive. Which South American city hosted a record-breaking soccer match with the highest attendance in history? Buenos Aires, Rio de Janeiro, or Santiago? Rio de Janeiro. What architectural marvel was completed in 1961, serving as a symbol of post-war rebuilding in Japan? The Tokyo Tower. What natural phenomenon occurred in 1959 in Italy, leading to a massive evacuation of thousands? Volcanic eruption, tsunami, or a landslide? A landslide. Which city became the first to install a working laser in its observatory for scientific research? Los Angeles, Paris, or Moscow? Los Angeles. In 1961, which Asian country held its first ever democratic election, marking a historic moment? Malaysia, Nepal, or Indonesia? Nepal. What was the name of the first space mission launched by NASA that was successful in orbiting the Earth in 1958? Pioneer 1. Which country became the first to introduce credit cards in Europe? The United Kingdom, France, or Germany? France. What major scientific discovery was made in 1958 regarding deep ocean life forms? Bioluminescent fish, hydrothermal vents, or deep-sea coral reefs? Hydrothermal vents. Which historical figure gave a famous televised address in Japan advocating for nonviolence? Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., or the Dalai Lama? Dalai Lama. Which Southeast Asian nation began the process of decolonization after nearly a century of foreign rule? Vietnam, Cambodia, or Laos? Laos. How old was Yuri Gagarin when he orbited the Earth in 1961? He was 27 years old. Question 60. Which iconic film director released a controversial film that explored themes of politics and war? Stanley Kubrick, Federico Fellini, or Akira Kurosawa? Akira Kurosawa. Which African country hosted the first ever Pan-African Cultural Festival in 1960? Nigeria, Ghana, or Sudan? Sudan. Which Pacific island nation gained independence, marking the end of over 60 years of colonial rule? Fiji, Samoa, or Tonga? Samoa. Which influential art movement began to gain prominence in Japan in 1958, emphasizing bold, abstract forms? Gutai, mono-ha, or superflat? Gutai. What notable medical tool was developed in 1959, revolutionizing minimally invasive surgery? Artificial kidney, endoscopy, or pacemaker? Or the endoscope? Yes, that would be the endoscope. What Caribbean island was the site of a failed invasion attempt backed by the United States? Cuba. What groundbreaking achievement in genetics was first reported in 1961 involving protein synthesis? Gene splicing, identification of messenger RNA, or discovery of the DNA double helix? Identification of messenger RNA. In 1960, which South American city hosted a major economic summit that shaped the continent's financial policies? Buenos Aires, Bogota, or Santiago? Santiago. Which significant engineering project connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea? The Suez Canal expansion, Aswan High Dam, or Suez Mediterranean Pipeline? Aswan High Dam. What Middle Eastern country launched its first state-sponsored television network in 1960? Israel. Which major art exhibition aimed to showcase contemporary art from around the world? Documenta, Venice Biennale, or Art Basel? Documenta. Which discovery revealed the presence of a previously unknown group of fundamental particles? Gluons, neutrinos, or quarks? Quarks. What country first introduced a nationwide system for monitoring radiation exposure? Japan. What iconic rock formation was declared a World Heritage Site in 1958, preserving its natural beauty? Uluru, Grand Canyon, or Mount Fuji? Uluru. What significant achievement in telecommunications marked the first international call via satellite? Telstar, Intelsat 1 or Echo 1 satellite? Echo 1 satellite. What country completed the first successful demonstration of supersonic passenger flight? France. What significant archaeological site revealed ancient Egyptian burial practices? Saqqara, Luxor, or Valley of the Kings? Saqqara. Which country became the first to recognize the rights of indigenous populations under international law? Norway, Australia, or Canada? Norway. What new international monetary policy was introduced in 1961 to stabilize global currencies? Gold pool. Which major world leader declared independence from colonial rule? Joseph Casa Vubu. Which famous artist debuted the painting series Marilyn Diptyque? Roy Lichtenstein, Andy Warhol, or Jasper Johns? Andy Warhol. What notable cultural event marked the beginning of the French New Wave in cinema? Paris Film Summit, Cannes Film Festival, or the release of the 400 Blows? Release of the 400 Blows. In 1958, what international agreement was signed to protect cultural heritage sites worldwide? The Hague Convention. In 1961, which music legend released their first single? Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, or Aretha Franklin? Bob Dylan. Which significant literary work explored the effects of American suburbanization? Revolutionary Road, Catcher in the Rye, or On the Road? Revolutionary Road. Which jazz musician released the revolutionary album Giant Steps? John Coltrane, Miles Davis, or Charles Mingus? John Coltrane. Which global financial crisis in 1958 led to significant devaluations of European currencies? Gold reserve crisis. Which notable volcanic eruption occurred in 1959, drastically altering the landscape of Hawaii? Mount St. Helens, Mauna Loa, or Kilauea? Kilauea. True or false? The twist dance craze began in 1960 and became a global phenomenon. And this is true. What major infrastructure project in Canada was completed connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes? The St. Lawrence Seaway. We are at question 90. What significant archaeological site was discovered in the UK, shedding light on Roman Britain? Fishburne Roman Palace, Hadrian's Wall, or Bath Spa? Fishburne Roman Palace. Which Asian country adopted a unique flag symbolizing national identity? South Korea, Sri Lanka, or Lebanon? Sri Lanka. What significant historical manuscript was discovered detailing medieval medicine? Bald's Leech Book, Book of Kells, or Voynich manuscript? Bald's Leech Book. In 1958, which country experienced the largest peaceful protests in its history advocating for civil rights? South Africa, India, or Northern Ireland? Northern Ireland. Which architect designed the innovative Dulles International Airport? Eero Saarinen, Le Corbusier, or Frank Lloyd Wright? Eero Saarinen. What notable scientific discovery was made in 1961 involving the first evidence of matter-antimatter annihilation? Positronium observation. Which artistic movement was formally recognized with its first major exhibition in New York? Minimalism, abstract expressionism, or op art? Op art. Which African city became the first in the region to host an international film festival? Cairo, Lagos, or Carthage? Carthage. What innovative transportation concept was first tested in 1959, leading to the development of high-speed rail? Monorails, Hyperloop prototypes, or maglev trains? Maglev trains. Which country initiated a revolutionary educational system known as polytechnic education? Cuba, the Soviet Union, or China? Cuba. And for our last question, what significant military technology introduced in 1958 marked the beginning of space-based reconnaissance? The spy satellite. Thank you for watching with us, and hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Drop your score in the comments. We'd love to know how you did, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.